Hello and welcome back to The Nation podcast, where we talk about everything card TCG related. This is the first episode in a while. The YouTube platform has a little podcast section now, so we're trying to implement ourselves into that because we love talking about card games. And I am here today with Preston and Zach. Guys, say
Hello, I'm Preston.
What up, what up?
Damn, that was amazing. And the topic of the day is ban list. Very recently, the game that we are very focused on, One Piece, put out its first iteration of the ban list. It is affecting set 3 of the Eastern circuit. Targeted 2 cards. They went from 0 to completely banned. That is the subverge of it. First thoughts of this. What do we think? Do we think it's going to change much? Is it dumb? I don't know. Give me something.
I can go ahead with this one. I think that they were trying to solve a problem that they have. And we're seeing it even in the West that Whitebeard is overbearing. So if they hit the card that they think is important to them, which they hit their stage, they will have a more competitive environment. I think most TCGs get into a realm where when a deck is not allowing their opponent to play the game, they hit it. And I believe that's what they were trying to do with Whitebeard also. The more interesting one is they hit Nami. Nami is a deck that wasn't super... At least up to this point, we haven't seen it win any majors. But from what I'm seeing is it didn't interact with your opponent at all. They played solitaire, they won games, and obviously that's bad for a game. If you can't play with your opponent, then it's good to get hit. Did they hit the right things? I guess that's to be seen. But I think it's a good thing. I think it's healthy. I'm going to take that route. I think it's healthy. I think it's right.
What?
So,
Yeah.
yes, Bandai's probably trying to address the problem. No, there's no way in hell they're getting it right on the first try. No fucking shot. Excuse my language. They're just notoriously bad at it. It took them 4 ban lists before Storm was like finally gone.
Yeah.
It's their Digimon ban list. They even try to preemptively ban things too, and that also just doesn't bode well for them because they missed the mark. Like their dev team, whoever's designing their cards, doesn't understand. They're not a card player. Right, like they say this sounds cool, so we're gonna do it. They don't think like, I probably never should have printed something that's just a generic +1, like ever. It's just in any game, right? I do think that a ban list is the way to go. I think a small ban list is bad. I think you need to expand it into. You could try some kind of limited, right? You could play like a one of certain things. Like I think Newgate should be a one of. That card is insane, and I think that's more of a problem card than Yak. But I mean, I could just be biased. I like that card is just really good in my opinion. I think 4 of those back to back is
That's game ending.
not fun. Oh. You just don't want to run into that. And I think the Nami is, again, they messed up. There's too many cards. And there's no way they hit the most important one. I haven't even looked at the majority of the set 3 list yet, and I know for a fact that they probably didn't hit the most important card. Like, I've read a lot of the cards. I haven't, thought about them, but that card never even, hit my radar. Right, like it wasn't something that I was like, "Yo, that's a good card." It's a combo piece, sure, but the whole deck, like you said, is solitaire. And if I can play the game of, man, I just don't have to die for the next 40 minutes. All right, cool. Like that's everybody in the West, everybody is going to be on Nami.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I fully agree. I definitely see the first iteration I had of that deck was absolutely more of an event style format as well. A lot of activate mains, very solitary. So, and that card absolutely was not on my radar because you have to commit so many other cards to this combo. It's not just like a one card combo. It's not a real +1. You have to commit another 16 cards to your deck space to make this work. And if you miss any of these combo pieces, you just have a bunch of dead cards. So that card really wasn't on my radar. The boat is a good card. That's not a really debate piece. This is a good card. A definite plus. However, they have been in and out Ryuko, the +1000 to all Whitebeards, the X Drake for them, was in and out of the deck. That guy's just going to be a full timer now, and we're just going to flex in another, card. Power was never Whitebeard's issue. They'll be fine power wise. I think the issue with the list for me was them going straight to Forbidden. I can't think of another game where it's like, oh, this card was good, let's just ban it. It's like, okay, let's take it to 3, let's take it to 2, let's take it to 1, and see what happens. Does this directly affect Whitebeard? Is he dead now? No, this card wasn't the problem. Let's go to the next card. And continue this way, instead of just Forbidden, because now we maybe just capsize the deck a little bit, decreases merchandising. Maybe you don't want to buy that pack anymore. That deck's kind of dead now. And the blue hit, yeah, I don't know if that card was ever, let it win a tournament at least first. Whitebeard had been dominating. I understand that one. But this blue deck has, a couple toppings. Blue has won one large regional. And that Avant deck is so stormy. And, if you roll high, which you talked about in your deck list, you're going to win. So that's where I'm wondering. And the limited to Forbidden, it mentioned that they were going to limit cards to 3, 2, 1, whatever it may be. You mentioned any other cards that could have been definitely affected this. Other games that we could look at that are doing it right that we can mimic, because you did mention as well, Bandai is pre-banning cards. I can't even think about marketing that way. It's like, oh, this deck set's coming out. By the way, 17 cards in that set are banned already. What? So Bandai's clearly not that good at it. So what are other games? What are the other things that we can look at that we can pull from maybe to hopefully give our community a different outlook?
I actually don't know. I don't have a save, a button that's gonna fix it for us, right? I do pose the question. You guys have done a lot of set 3 content, so if they were if it wasn't Boat, right, and it was Marco, are you guys okay with that? That's the problem card, isn't it?
I think Preston's
is the meta healthier without Marco?
I like Sam was saying, I think banning is rough. Straight gone is rough. Marco at 1, I think, gets really interesting.
Power shifts.
Yeah, it's just, if I have a chance to get this card out 4 times, I can save it twice and then play another one. And that's rude. I think they hit the stage because there's only one card in the game that can get rid of stages right now. And it's in black. So I do believe in future sets when more colors get stage removal, this won't be on the ban list for very long. So it's mostly that they have a very immature game and they need to make it balanced so people continue to play. Because at some point, if you're just getting your ass shoved in by Whitebeard every week, you're going to stop going to tournaments. You're not going to buy packs. You're not going to want to play the game. So we get rid of Whitebeard for a little bit, and we improve the game. We add some more cards.
Does it get rid of Whitebeard?
What was that?
Does it get rid of Whitebeard though? That's the kind of the point. That's kind of the point we were getting as. I don't think Whitebeard goes anywhere. I don't think this affects Nami either. That's what's funny about it.
It probably doesn't. But I think part of it is hitting a set that's already finished in set 2. In Japan, they hit it after set 2 is completely done. The hype is on set 3, and we're moving towards set 4. With very few cards released so far, but still moving in that direction. So we're going to show in good faith that we are going to get rid of problematic decks when they arise. And that might bring some maybe stability to players that are just not having a good time. Especially if you're playing against Nami and, like we're saying, sitting there for 40 minutes watching your opponent just go, go, go. I can see that. Is it the correct card? I see people like arguing that it's a +1. I had talked to you guys about Kaya at some point being a better card. It's a draw 2, discard 2 for, I think, 1 Don.
It's so much better.
It's way better, but it's also in the current set, and it's balanced. You pick up 2, you put down 2. This card is pick up 2, put down 1. So you are actually getting a +1, even though you're seeing the same amount of cards. And I can see that since it has a component where there already has to be something on the field, that's why you get the +1, because you have to work harder for it. Does it make a difference? No. I don't think Whitebeard's going anywhere. It has a solid deck, it has extremely strong pieces, and I think when Nami comes out in the West, people are just going to find a better way to play the deck.
Well, everyone's going to cry.
It's going to be mirror match hell, and you're just going to figure out a way to beat Nami before they can deck themselves out. The only way to fix it is, in my opinion, get rid of Nami, and I don't think they'll get rid of a leader for another year or so. Only way to fix Whitebeard, I like Zek's the 9-drop Edward. That card's disgusting. That might slow it down. But again, that's at the end game. They've already gone pretty hard throughout the game, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think those are all fair points. I think I don't think the meta is going to change. I if anything, we'll see more Zoros and Aces, which is kind of what's happened. They take in maybe a 5% difference, if anything. But then again, Whitebeard did just dominate again, so who knows? Mm-hmm. But looking at other future ban lists, they hit fewer cards. Games like Yu-Gi-Oh! And have large, insane long ban lists. They touch cards often, and they're often limiting and banning stuff. Magic obviously does rotation, so that's not a good game to look at. But like a game like Yu-Gi-Oh! Do you think a ban list like that, and a very established one, is that something we can look at as a big brother figure, someone we could definitely grow from? Because it seems like this community has a large control of our ban list. I often see players complain about the cards, and they do get banned in these Bandai games. So
yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's another I keep thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Because that's the game I played with probably one of the better ban lists. Is that one or another game that we could look at to hopefully pull from?
I think the best thing you can do is rotate. I think rotation with a
expanded,
some type of legacy or whatever, just different kind of format, so your cards still retain value. Because that's the issue, right? Is you get all these hyper competitive players like myself who are willing to go spend money on these decks to go fly to these events and play, for these prize cards and everything. As long as my stuff is still valuable, I don't care how I have to adjust my gameplay. I just want my stuff to not lose value. And I think that's
right.
I think rotation is the best, but outside of rotation, I think Yu-Gi-Oh's ban list is probably the best thing you could look at. It is huge. That thing is pages long, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
they started early too. They started their first ban list, at least in the West, months after the game came out, mm-hmm. and immediately, I think it was out for a while in Japan before the US got it, similar to this, maybe even longer. But yeah, it immediately hit cards that were going to be problematic, at least down to one, which was Exodia, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn. the crazy stuff that's probably at 3 right now.
Yeah, but could you imagine 3 pieces? Like you had
Yeah, it
15
was.
cards out of your 40 card deck are all Exodia pieces. I'm so mad.
Yeah, it would have been bad, and they immediately took care of it. And I think that is another thing is they want to make the game playable, so they'll hit stuff again to make the game enjoyable and try to make it feel like it's balanced. And I think they did a decent job, at least when I was playing, to try to keep the stupid decks out and keep a flowing game going. Um, but I'm not sure if Bandai can keep up with it. Uh, but rotations are good. I think a really good. The hard part about rotation in these games is leaders. You don't want to lose a chunk of leaders every year. So I think if they rotated out everything but leaders,
That could be cool.
yeah, because at least
That's
you
fine.
are able
I
to
don't hate
build
that.
upon leaders, and not lose because that's your whole game is you're building decks around how your leader plays. So if you lose that, then it gets weird. But if you keep your leaders in the game, and you just get rid of the character events and stages, and you build upon that with the next wave, that could be fresh and fun. I don't think they'll do it though.
I still see people spamming Zoro though in that future world. So I think even though it's a cool idea, I do think that they'll probably get washed away too if they ever went that route.
Yeah,
I think
true.
Ace is going to be very strong in replace of the ban list.
One more time.
I think Ace
Oh,
as a deck will take Whitebeard's spot in the West. That's
Yeah,
based on my like Dragon Ball knowledge, right? And like Dark Ace is Dark Brawling, basically. And
yeah.
that deck was uh it was around for a long time. It was very strong. I
Wait.
think I
yeah.
think that's how it'll translate.
Aces
And
is
we'll
already very
never.
good.
Yeah, he's good in the West right now, and we'll never get a ISO Whitebeard with Moby Dick in it.
No.
Thank
At,
goodness.
so, I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I'm just saying, like, we'll never get peak Whitebeard here
Mm-mm.
with all of its cards, because I doubt we're getting any more Whitebeard cards after this.
Mm-mm.
Um, so, if it is, it's like a one-off or something silly. Another Ace character card or something here and there, because why not?
Promos, yeah.
Yeah, promos and stuff. But like the bulk of that set was 2 and 3, and then we're gonna move on to other things. Um,
I think the cool
but
thing you
yeah, the West will never have that option to just
no.
absolutely destroy with a full build, which isn't a bad thing. But we're also missing out on a month of good play because of it.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. I think the last thing was I think you alluded to it a little bit. Is they avoided their money cards when they hit the ban list. They touched commons. I think they're both commons or uncommons. And I do really commend. I don't know. I keep thinking about Yu-Gi-Oh. They ban a lot of their cover cards sometimes, and like I never thought about marketing as a kid because I just always thought like, oh, this card's broken, it needs to go away. But I never considered that guy was their marketing plan for the next 3 months, and that guy's now banned. And that guy needed to go. Like Yada was such an annoying card that I think that's one of the first cards that actually got banned. And I'm thinking about the card like Marco. Is do you want to see that confidence from, or that move from Bandai? Because I can see a company not wanting to do it, but I don't know if they did it in Dragon Ball or Digimon.
Uh they ban certain things, yeah. Like if it gets to a point, like they'll get rid of it, no matter how much of a cash grab it is.
That's good news.
They did that with Dragon Ball. There's a few cards that got banned that were pretty pricey, but the majority of the stuff in Dragon Ball that's oppressive is the commons and uncommons, some rares, and how they interact with the other decks.
Right.
So I can see it following suit. Preston touched on like not being able to experience a full format
Yeah.
with these preemptive ban lists, and that is true. And it's what they do in Digimon. So unfortunately, we, from this point forward, we will never experience a meta that Japan has. Like, period. Every single set that we get from this point forward, there will be a preemptive ban list. Unless Bandai deems it unnecessary. But because they're so community focused, someone's always complaining. So something will always get changed. And I think that's an issue, I think. Like, I think it does take away from a lot of it takes away from not necessarily fun, I think, right? But it takes away from, like, you don't really get to understand or appreciate why it was so oppressive.
He said he wants to suffer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think you have to. It's mandatory, right? Like, you just have to go with it.
I was a Yu-Gi-Oh player. I get that.
You got to live through the bad to experience the good, right? You got to get your ass beat a few times to get back. Like, that's.
So U.S. Bandai is going to take Japan's ban list early every single time. So Japan's going to set the ban lists during their first month or so with all of the cards, and then they're going to ruin it. And then
Digimon is the model to look at, actually, because Dragon Ball wasn't in Japan.
Right.
But Digimon is, like, if you look at them from, like, comparatively, Digimon and One Piece, it's almost
it feels the same.
Event for event, like what's happening.
Right.
At least we know what to look forward to. Like, we'll at least be able on here on GGN to cover stuff, and when ban list comes out, we can let the people know that, hey, this might. Don't pay for this. I don't know how else to say it. Like, don't go all in on this deck. It's not going to live for very long. Or don't get excited. You're never going to be able to have fun again. So
don't go buy pre-release Moby Dicks.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we get to cover that on this channel. It's gonna be so exciting.
It would be different if I didn't know the demographic were all dudes our age, and
That's true.
But since they're all our age, I think they've had their heart broken enough that they'll figure it out and they'll be able to level with us. If it was like younger people, we would have to, like, tell them every time, like, sorry man, she's not that into you, and that would suck way worse. At least we can talk to, like, the community that's mostly around our age and be like, we've been here before, bro. You know how it is.
At least with cards that want to be abused, right? Like,
yeah, like, you know how it is. So at least our community that I see, at least, is probably used to this. There's a lot of new people playing One Piece because it's One Piece and because it's hot and new. But at the end, I think most of the people playing this game have played card games before, so they kind of get it.
Got real State 2 Sasuke feels right now. Devastated.
Right.
Broken.
it's never fun, man.
He was OP and needed it happen. But guys, that was our podcast on ban list. Let us know in the comments other games that you have played that have had interesting, decent ban lists. We've played a lot of them. We only talked about a few, of course. But let us know in the comments, what other cards did you want to see on this ban list? Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Did they miss? Did they hit? Tell us. I like to argue in the comments. And until next Nation episode, this was Sam, Preston, and Zach, and you guys have a good night.
Later.
Later.
Where's the camera? State 2 Sasuke was so good.
That shit was dumb.
It said it doesn't die and it's OP. What?
State 2, Chidori Stream, Baki, Pat, fuck off.
That was limited to 1 at least.
Be more like Pokemon. They don't have a ban list.
They rotate though.
Yeah, they do.
Don't be like Pokemon. Yo, did you guys hear the thing with the judge?